Hey there, so this is Ray from Origami Customs, and I'm here with Aydian and Tyler from Point of Pride. They are our longest standing community partnership relationship, and this is actually kind of where it all started back in the day. So we wanted to talk a little bit to you coming up to TDOV about how that relationship has evolved over the years and what they're all about and what they've got going on and how their program affects so many people and how we get to work with them. So I'm really excited. Let's just dive right in. Can you guys tell me a little bit about how Point of Pride started and why it started and what were some of the values behind why you wanted this to exist in the world?
Yeah, I'll take that one. So, hey everyone, my name is Aiden. My pronouns are he, him. I am one of the co-founders here at Point of Pride, but also my fancy title is the Chief Advancement Officer. Point of Pride really started because I was raising funds and making t-shirts to get my own gender-affirming care, which was top surgery. And I was able to luckily, hand screen print enough t-shirts to raise the money, which is, it should be put on record. I got my top surgery in 2012 and it has since doubled in price. So,
Whoa, okay.
yeah, so mine was $5,900.
Whoa.
And Tyler's giggling because Tyler, isn't it like 12.5 thousand now?
Yeah, I dropped like 11K this morning for somebody's top surgery. So
That's
Yeah.
nuts. All right.
So when I say I raised it, it was a lot easier to
Fair
do
enough.
than I would say. And yeah, and so I was just screen printing t-shirts in my living room and selling them and going to Walmart to buy the shirt and then putting them in the mail with whatever leftover box I had laying around. Um, and I wanted to keep that open. I wanted to, keep putting out t-shirts that were positive for the community. Like at the time, there were a lot of like gay is okay shirts.
I
But
remember
there
that
were,
era.
yeah, but there wasn't a lot like for trans folks. And
Yeah,
so
I
I
remember there was a
wanted
lot of like
to,
rainbows on everything.
yeah, exactly. And so I just wanted to, start there. And then, my co-founder Jeff, who's the executive director here at Point of Pride, I didn't know how to make a website. I mean, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't even know how to screen print a t-shirt. Like I just kind of like learned. And I always wonder how many paint fumes I inhaled just
Right.
heating up the ink on the in my living room. It's just like a
You're
cloud of
like, I'm a
smoke, and I'm
professional.
like it's fine. So yeah, and then Jeff is amazing and creative and a graphic artist and knows how to make websites and stuff. And so we kind of teamed up together and we kind of started these different programs, including the garment program, very organically. Just had someone sent me. I met someone at a conference and they gave me 10 binders and they were like, I think you can give these out to people. And so
Wow.
I just was like, if you buy a t-shirt, I will give you a free binder.
Yeah.
And I was saving a portion of all of the funds, after like actually paying for the materials to give back out. And that's really just how it started very organically. This is our 10-year anniversary, which is really exciting this year. And we missed an opportunity to speak at a like software company for like $5,000. And I was like, that is too much money to not be able to like give away. So yeah, so that's when Jeff and I were like, all right, we've been thinking about making a nonprofit and like now we got to step it up and make this happen now.
Right. Yeah.
It was like literally just money, an opportunity to help someone in a really big way, just taken away because we weren't a 501(c)(3).
Yeah.
Hmm.
Gotcha. So you're like, okay, we gotta get our shit together so that we can help people.
Yeah, yeah. And then that's actually how Tyler got involved too, was so we were starting a board. And Tyler, I think you like sent an email, right? You were like, I know how to
about a
do some stuff.
completely unrelated side project I was doing in my own spare time. And then I ended up joining the board primarily. My background before coming to Point of Pride was in healthcare, specifically in insurance.
Okay.
So my job when I first started off was about helping folks navigate the insurance process, which is a weighty process. Come on,
Yeah, I
Mango.
bet. Oh, hello. An angel.
She's convinced she's my supervisor. If she hears me talking, she needs to make sure I'm in the meeting and on task. So,
Micromanaging you.
Yeah.
yeah. So I came on to help a couple of our surgery fund recipients navigate their insurance process. And then from there, they just kind of like threw the binder program at me. They were like, you do this now. And it became my job to really track what was happening with the binder program and keep tabs on the numbers. And that has turned into where I am today. So I'm Tyler, he, him. I'm the director of programs with Point of Pride, which means I keep track of all of our programs, including the garments programs at this point.
Yeah,
Cool.
Tyler
Can
was like
you,
a spreadsheet wizard, and Jeff and I
right.
were not. And I was literally listing the binders we had, just like the style and size. And I was like, pick one and send us an email. Like it was not efficient at all. So Tyler was a huge help in really turning the garment program into something scalable, right? It was
Right.
not scalable. So
Hmm.
yeah, so he's downplaying his wizardry, but it is high with this one.
I mean, the scope of what you guys are doing is incredible. Like I work with a lot of orgs now, but like it's just not comparable to any other program that I have ever heard of. And you guys work in so many different avenues. Can you like reiterate for me all the different programs that are under the Point of Pride umbrella now?
Yeah, you want to
So,
go there.
yeah, go for it. So we've got the garment programs, which includes a binder and gaff program where we give free binders or gaffs to folks who can't otherwise afford them. And then the financial aid programs, they give direct financial support to folks to afford their gender affirming care. The biggest and kind of the most well known of the programs is the Surgery Fund program, where we cover the costs associated with gender affirming surgery. We also have the HRT Access Fund, which covers the costs of 18 months of HRT for folks. The Electrolysis Support Fund, which covers laser or electrolysis. The name's a bit of a misnomer,
Yeah.
but covers the costs of laser electrolysis for folks. That program prioritizes femmes, especially those that are seeking hair removal for safety reasons. And then we have the Thrive program, which is our newest program. It's a bit of a hodgepodge. Covers sort of the costs of transition that are not neatly covered by one of our other programs. So it wouldn't
Yeah.
cover HRT, but it might cover the or surgery, but it would cover the cost of like tattooing the scars to cover those up if that's something that someone wants, or fertility preservation before starting HRT, that sort of thing.
That's awesome because so many of those things fall through the cracks or aren't even really seen as like legitimate gender affirmation, under like the medical umbrella. It's so hard to find programs that'll support those things specifically. But you guys, you kind of do everything. I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but do you have any stats of like how wide reaching this is or like how much is given away or any figures?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a whole dashboard. It's not on the spot at all. I just got to go
Sorry, I
find it.
did not prepare you for this at all.
So as far as the garments go, that is obviously our most wide-reaching because the requirements for that program are pretty low. It's you must identify as trans or questioning and have no other way to safely obtain the garment that you're seeking. That program has distributed nearly 30,000 garments to folks in every US state and like 140 or 150 countries.
Wow.
The garment or the financial aid programs have given away over, where's my numbers? It's like something million.
I think it's five
Yeah, you
over
go,
five.
5.4 million. I scrolled right past it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is wild. That is wild. That is so much money. You guys have had such a huge impact over the years. And in 10 years, right? You're coming up on 10 years.
Yep. Yeah, and the best, the most like it's all amazing, right? And what always amazes me is that we are like 98% individually funded, which means individuals give rather than having large grants. We have never been and are not federally funded. So these are trans folks, non-binary, gender diverse folks, and
Yeah.
allies who are just like, you know what? Here's $100, here's $50, here's $20, right?
Wow.
So that I always find to be also a very unique thing is that it's
Yeah.
kind of like within the community, we're kind of like passing around this dollar bill, right? We're kind of like, okay,
It's
you take it, and now you have some, so you give it to them, right? And it's a
truly,
lot of yeah, it's a lot of people who don't have much but want to give, and
yeah.
it's people who have a lot of privileges or
Yeah.
had a good job or a supportive family who are like, I know what I have is very
Mhm.
unique, and I want to, you know, maybe offset some of that pressure that someone else
Yeah.
might feel, you
Yeah,
know?
for sure. Or found themselves in a better situation or like, I know what it's like to be like, not seen as who I want to be seen as and not have access to these things that I need and are able
Exactly.
to give it back. That's, yeah, I mean, our community is just incredible. It's really amazing to see like and to not be funded in any other like federal or grant way. That's yeah, it's kind of unheard of. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, exactly. And we have a really great board, and Tyler and I both sat on the board before eventually, we transitioned to staff. And, that was 7 years of volunteer, just everyone donating their time,
Right.
showing up. Everyone had full-time jobs, right?
Yeah.
And, I think we did a lot of work in that time as well, so I think that it's always, and it's, trans-led, like it's always been about finding ways to give back. And I think that's because everyone who sits on the board, whether we have struggled or not to obtain our gender affirming care, everyone has had some kind of access, right? And
Yeah.
so we all know
Yeah.
what it's like to not have the access, and then to know how life-changing it is to have access.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now we started working together. I'm terrible with time. I want to say like it's been 6 or 7 years. Does that sound right to you?
Yes.
It's been a while.
Yes.
Yes, one of those.
We are in a committed relationship, Jess.
Yeah, we've crossed
Long
the point.
term.
This is
Yes.
long-term relationship.
Yes.
Absolutely. And you were the ones that got us having this idea of how we could start to work with NGOs. You contacted us to supply some of the gaffs originally for the free gaff program, and now we're still your only gaff supplier. Is that right?
We
And
have one
and
other, but not to the
okay.
volume that you guys supply us.
Right. Okay. And now we've just started doing binders last year, which is really exciting too.
Mhm.
But at the time, it was like we weren't working with any other NGOs. We didn't really know how that was going to look. And you guys were like, okay, we have this program. We want to give stuff away for free. And we're like, yes, of course, this is what we want to do too. This was the idea from the start. And how can we, like you were saying, like how can we work with this kind of like mutual aid framework, but as a business? And we've been able to build our whole community program off of that idea and the model that you guys had shown us from the beginning. So that is very cool.
I
Yeah,
love
and
that.
I don't know, like we've really ramped up that program, especially in the last couple of years. Do you have any idea of how many gaffs and binders we've done with you guys? I don't know the number off the top of my head.
So the gaffs, it looks like it's around 3,000 or so,
Yeah,
which is a lot. Binders is relatively new, so I don't
yeah,
have any solid stats on that
yeah,
yet.
right. We had
That's
just started that in the
yeah,
fall of last year. So,
yeah.
but yeah, that's amazing. Like 3,000 people getting a free gaff. We always tell people you can go to our website and you can order, or you can just go to Point of Pride and get it for free. And like, how many websites can you go and be like, you can pay, or you can just not pay and get the same
Right.
thing? You're on
Right.
a wait list for a little bit, but it's pretty cool to be able to offer that. So I'm really glad to have started that with you guys and jumped on board with the amazing program that you've put into place. And like especially let's talk about like this particular moment in time because things were really different probably 10 years ago when you started the organization. When we started, we've been going for 16 years now, but we've been doing this program with you for I think 7. But like in the last couple of years, obviously, like the access to trans medical care has been significantly diminished and limited, especially for you guys in the States. So, like, how have you seen that evolve? What does it mean to have low or no barrier access in this particular moment.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's important for trans and gender diverse people to know that there is a nonprofit, there are people, there are, individuals who care about them and believe that they deserve this access and are doing, our best to provide that access. I think, it's interesting because, we talk about 6 or 7 years ago. I think that there was a lot more, I think there were more cases of unsafe binding and unsafe tucking.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting because it's almost like as people have started to learn, like, oh, I can actually buy something that will tuck more safely and properly, or I can actually have a binder that will like maybe work and not like hurt or, like really be efficient in what I'm, the
Yeah.
care I'm trying to look for by obtaining these garments. And it's as that awareness has risen, I think the wanting to strip them away and make it more complex and harder to get is starting to rise as well, which is alarming because we all know that if you take away a binder, someone's still gonna bind. It's not, you're
Yeah.
not gonna magically make them, they're not gonna be like, well, I can't
Victoria
get
doesn't
one, so
need.
I guess
Yeah.
I won't. Like, that's not how it works. So I think from that perspective, it's just important in this time to let people know that, yeah, there's a wait list and it's long, and we are diligently doing our best to get
Yeah.
these binders out, but there is a process, and that is for the safety, honestly, of the people that we're mailing these garments to, right? We need to make sure that when they sign up and now when we're ready to mail it, it's efficient and they're ready to receive it, okay? Because
Yes,
that,
absolutely.
that's important too. But I mean, Tyler can probably talk about how the program has revved up in the last 6 years on the side of the need, like the
Yeah.
requests.
Yeah, I'd love to know
Yeah, I
more.
mean, we've seen binder requests go from 10 to 15 requests a day to sometimes during our busiest times 50 to 60 requests a day. Which is, it's difficult to keep up with, which is unfortunate. But it is also kind of indicative of what's going on. And I think to Aiden's point, it's indicative to the availability of resources, showing both that there aren't enough out there, but there are more than there were. And people know that ace bandages are not the safe way to do this. And that there are products available that are safer.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so important for people to feel like they have options and that they're being supported in having access to a range of different options. And yes, I think hopefully across the board we all know that ace bandages are not good for us anymore. There's been a lot more studies that have come out like in the last I think 4 years about the long-term effects of binding, so we can give people more up-to-date medical information on like what the lasting effects are, so things that even go beyond after you've had top surgery, and we really want to be able to like impart that information now, especially like when younger folks or people like using binders and gaffs for the first time, they're getting secondhand information, which is like really valuable, and we keep our communities really safe by being able to pass information on more like discreet channels and word of mouth. But things are changing, and we're learning new things all the time. So yeah, it's so important for people to have safe access. And what are some of the effects that you've seen come from this program, like either from individual recipients or like feedback that you've heard from the community overall? How do you see yourselves having such a huge impact?
So we do a lot of follow-up surveys with folks after we've sent out their garments. We've found that the number is crazy. It's something like 70 or 80% of folks feel just safer leaving their house
Yeah,
with a
huge.
an affirming garment,
Yeah,
which is just wild to know that that's that's all it takes is a simple garment. You feel safer leaving your house.
yeah,
A lot of folks report better medical outcomes, better access to other avenues of care, just, feeling more confident leaving their house and interacting with the world around them. And I think that says a lot, especially when you talk about, youth and the younger folks on the spectrum, they've got their whole world ahead of them, and feeling that confidence as, an 18-year-old is way different than feeling that confidence as a, middle-aged guy.
Boy. Yeah. It
Yeah.
means so much more at that age, for sure.
Yeah, I think it's also really impactful for just like supporters of Point of Pride to hear about this. And it's one of the, I would say, easiest ways to get involved with what we do, right? I mean, you can make a donation, amazing, right? If you're trans, non-binary, you can, look at other volunteer opportunities like a community grant making fellow, right? But anybody can be part of our letter writing campaign. And that is because in each one of our garment packages, we do have a letter of support and inspiration for the person who's receiving the garment. So it's
Yeah.
like, you might not know me, right? And like, I want you to know there's someone out there who really cares about you, who put time and effort into making this cute little card or coming up with some random pun to make you smile. You know what I mean? Because your smile and your comfortability in your own skin is important to me, right? Like, for the person writing. And so we have a lot of people who engage with our letter writing campaign because, like I said, it's a great way to kind of give back. And so not only are they getting this garment, right, where they feel like they can wear their favorite pair of jeans, right, that they've like dreamed of wearing, and now they can wear it and go out and feel good. It's like they can also get this little note that they can like, stick in, their like pocketbook or their, on their wall, like wherever, you know what I mean? And be reminded, periodically that like, hey, not only was there someone who donated money so that we can purchase these garments, so that we could, then there was also somebody who packaged this garment, and there was someone who wrote you this letter, and now it's at your doorstep, right? So there's a lot of people involved in, the making of this care package. I think
Mhm.
that is also impactful for people who, a lot of people, this is their first step in exploring, right? Exploring who they are, right? And so giving people that opportunity to explore their whole self is, I think, a really magical time in someone's life, and we get all of us here, we get to be a part of that in some like small fraction of a way.
Yeah, you see the impact that you're making. And like you said, it's so important to see those connections being made within the community, like whether it's other trans and non-binary people or it's just allies, but saying like, hey, we see you, we know what it's like, we're here for you. And kind of in the same way that we work, it's like everything is for the community, but it's also by the community. Like our products are made by trans people and queer people. And it's like there's a connection there of like, who made the garment, who's sending it out, who wrote that letter. Like it's these direct relationships that we're connecting within our community. Like we keep us safe. We know how to support each other. Like we don't need, like, sure, yeah, we want allies money. Yes, 100%. But like we know how, what people want, and how to take that feedback and support one another. I think it's more meaningful knowing that it's all community led in that way. And
Yeah.
I hope that people know that when they're getting garments, it's like that's also like a trans person that went like, oh, let me think about like exactly how I want this to fit, I want you to feel when you put it on. I know that I can stand behind these garments. I make them, but I wear them myself. And it's
Hmm.
a really big difference and something that we always try to like impart when things are going out. Like it is the same.
Yeah,
We're all
yeah,
experiencing
100%.
this.
100%.
Yeah. So what are some of the goals that you guys have going forward? I mean, obviously this program is amazing and we've been able to ramp it up like in regard to the specific binder and gaff program that we have together, and I hope that we just get to like grow that year over year. But what are some of the other exciting things that you guys have in the works?
Yeah,
I
I mean, oh, go ahead. No,
No,
you
you go
start.
first. No, you.
Fine. So we are looking to work more with smaller organizations to help get garments out to folks who, maybe can't even receive something in the mail.
Yeah.
Whether that's because they're unhoused or something like that, they just don't have a safe place to receive a package. So looking to work with smaller organizations to help get those garments into the community in more and interesting ways. And obviously always looking to bring the wait times down, make the our own programs more accessible as well.
For sure. See, this is really exciting for me because since we started with you guys, now we have about 110 organizations globally that we work with. And one of the things that I've been seeing in the last year, but specifically 2026, the last couple of months, is like across the board, all of the organizations we work with are really struggling. A lot of people had funding cuts, especially people who are like, for us, provincially or federally funded. I'm sure it's the same for you that you can either get state funding or federal funding. Most of that has just been slashed across the board. So we have a lot of orgs coming to us being like, we can't support these programs anymore, or we want to start one, but we don't have the money to. And now it's like, okay, these maybe are in like more rural or remote areas that are really like necessary for supporting specific communities, like you said, where people can go and have access to be able to have a safe place to try things on, to see them, to have people there to help them like get fit and try things on and all of that. And we like it's so crushing to think that some of those programs might shut down if it weren't for this. So to be able to like directly supply some of the smaller organizations is awesome. It keeps it running and it kind of decentralizes it as well. And I think in a way that I think is going to be much more sustainable going forward. Like as we know that we're probably going to keep losing government funding for these types of programs, it's really kind of the same here in Canada as well. We're seeing that as a trend going forward. So again, it's like how can we keep the ecosystem of trans and gender diverse like support going and help one another out.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think, it's also just thinking about constantly, I mean, we are always thinking about new ways to get garments into the hands of people,
Yeah.
right? Because when you get, like Tyler was saying, on a busy streak and you're getting 350 requests in
Yeah.
7 days,
Yeah, that's
like
nuts.
it's a lot, you know what I mean? And there's only so much that we can put out
For sure.
in a single day, and you know what I mean? So I think that, recognizing that as well, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Of just like, okay, what's the best way to do this? How can we speed up? Is there a way to speed it up, right? As Tyler was saying, working with these other orgs, and thinking about okay, also like in the process, right, there's also like kind of a gut check of like, hey, you applied for this. Do you still need it? Like, do you actually have a job now where you can go and support a company like Origami Customs? Or did you obtain a GAF and you actually don't need this anymore, right? Because there are plenty of people on this list who
Yeah.
don't have the funding and are nowhere close to receiving it, right? So we do try to have and think about ways to get these garments into the hands of people quicker. And again, that's with the support of the community because some people do say, you know what, like, I actually don't need it anymore. Like,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
whatever reason, I've got
And
it. They're like,
yeah.
take me off and move on right to the next person,
Yeah,
right?
totally.
So there's a lot of like self-checking, self-accountability,
Mhm.
and really just like everyone in this circle of just like believing trans people, like
Yeah, it's about
believing.
trust.
Yes,
And I think one of
100%.
the ways that we're building trust, and you guys have already built this foundation of trust, is it's because it's our community. It's
Yeah,
like I don't think any trans person is going to try to like cheat you out of a gaff because it's like there's trans people on the other side of this. Like
right.
everyone's just trying to help one another. It's not like
100%.
a government program where like people are like out of touch and tone deaf and not really like supporting from like a genuine heart-based place, but it's so
Mhm.
clear that you guys are. And not to mention, it's a lot of labor that goes into actually like organizing and packaging and writing those notes. Like it's not just making a garment and then it magically gets to that person. There's a lot of time. I know that you guys work really, really hard to like make sure that these get out. And yeah,
Yeah.
that's definitely a labor of love.
Yeah, and we do still accept if you have like a binder that works efficiently, you can donate it to us and we'll get it
Hmm.
right to the hands of someone else, right? So I think that there's a lot of this kind of like circular, like we were kind of the whole conversation I think we've been saying is just like this self-belief in each other and as a community as a whole to support one another to help one another. If you get in advance to reach back and try to bring someone with you, right? I
Hmm.
mean, this is I mean, that's really the foundation of Point of Pride is that mutual aid concept, the belief in trans people that if you say you need this, I believe you. You know what I mean? And everyone from our staff to our board, I mean, everyone believes that. Everyone knows, like you were saying, right? Like that from like firsthand experience that like this gender affirming care across all of our programs, like it's life-saving care. It allows people to
Yeah.
get out of the house, like we were saying, and become a full human. And I think that's truly what every trans person wants, right? Is to just
Yeah.
be themselves, to walk
Yeah.
around as themselves and live that life that they know is possible if they had this access.
Exactly. And as we go along that journey and we become more like down the road, we can look back and be like, okay, I remember what it's like to be at that stage. And that person who's just starting out needs this support so much more than me. So it's this kind of like circular process where then we can like engage more and pull people back into this like cycle of mutual aid. And that just kind of like repeats as we become like more resourced or have more access or have better jobs or whatever as we get older. It's really
And
amazing to see that.
yeah.
So what are some of the ways that people can support this program? You've talked a little bit about where the donations come from and the letter writing campaign, but if someone wanted to help you out or get involved, where would you say that they start?
I always say the first place you start with a nonprofit is your wallet. Being
Yes,
able to
we
make
do
a
need
donation
money.
is 100% the first way. But, and so if you are someone who has the extra $20, right, like that is purchasing, garments, right,
Yeah.
or mailing out multiple garments, right. But then there's also the concept of there is the letter writing. If you have a garment that is still working and just sitting in your drawer, you can mail it and donate it to us. The other thing is, and this could be something that could be talked about kind of on the side, but you can always email us. You can go to pointofpride.org and check out our contact form.
Yeah.
If you have potentially a space that you want to package garments, things of that nature. We're very
Okay.
limited on the ability of that and the range of area we can do that in. But if you are
Sure.
interested, you can always send us a contact
Yeah.
as long as you're just open to like, that's a little too far, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
that's always a
Philly and
possibility.
Baltimore area, I
Okay,
can get some
There you
Baltimore
go.
garments
folks,
into the
we
area.
need you
If you're in the
specifically.
Baltimore area, you can give us a call.
Okay.
But I mean, those are the first things. Tyler, am I missing something? Related to garments?
No, I think that you've touched on the major ones, like donations, whether that's physical products or money. You know, and I think
Totally.
something that gets overlooked a lot is like we do have relationships with folks like Ray and other manufacturers where your financial donation is going to go further for us than if you go purchase the product yourself.
Yeah, totally.
We have a lot of well-meaning folks that want to go like, I'm going to go buy 10 garments from Ray and then mail them to you. I'm like, but
Yeah.
your 10 garments might be 15 for me.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's definitely better to
so,
go through you guys for that reason.
yeah.
hmm One thing I just wanted to mention that I'm not sure that we were super clear about, which is an amazing part of this program. And I think that you are maybe one of two organizations internationally that does this. You ship anywhere in the world. And I
Yep.
just want to be super clear that like there are no barriers in terms of location for where these products go out to. It's the same form, I
As
believe.
long as the United States Postal Service can reach there,
Right. Yes.
which there are occasionally countries that USPS cannot ship to.
Yeah.
But as long as USPS can reach them, we can ship there.
Yeah, that's incredible. And the form for accessing is the same for anyone. Everyone goes through those same questions of just like self-identification and showing that you have limitations to accessing these and that you need them for your safety. And so anyone around the globe can get these garments. I think that's like it's very rare to see
Yeah.
that. I think that's such a highlight of this and probably also why you've been able to just be so prolific with the amount of garments that you've been able to give out. Not that people in North America don't have enough access needs already, but there's definitely some countries around the world that can benefit from this as well. And we love to just let people know that we work with across the world that there's still programs where it's free for individuals. I think
Yeah,
that's
and I do want to call out that brought to mind, our shipping is free, our garments are free. The only cost that a recipient might have is if their country is putting some sort of tariff or customs
Mhm.
fee,
yeah.
Mhm.
which we cannot prepay,
Mhm.
or I think we would try to find a way to do that. uh,
It's
but
true. Yeah. Yeah, we
but
run into
other
that.
than that, the costs are completely free for folks. So they
Yeah,
don't pay for the shipping, they don't pay for the garment itself or anything like that.
yeah, amazing. Amazing. Um, okay. Well, I know that you guys have some big plans coming up because it's Trans Day of Visibility in a week, I believe, from the time of recording. And I know that you always do a really incredible fundraiser around then. So can you let us know a bit about what's going on this year and how people can get involved?
Yeah, so excitingly, this is our fifth annual Streamathon, and we work with influencer and advocate Mercury Stardust.
Yay!
And
Trust.
don't tell me why, but we do 30 hours of nonstop live streaming. I don't, I think we were just like, what's the hardest thing we can do?
Yeah.
Let's do that.
What do people
Um,
want to watch just because we're like, how is this gonna happen?
Yeah, because we're like out of it by the end, you know.
Yeah.
We are heavily caffeinated,
I bet.
and we have a cot, and we take mini naps when we're not
Okay.
on camera.
We have a lot of mini
But
naps.
yeah, yeah, so we're doing it again. So this will be our fifth
Mhm.
year to raise money for trans healthcare. We have a big goal. We're trying to raise $1 million,
Wow.
and I believe we can do it. In the past years, we've had anywhere from 25,000 to 55,000 people donating. The average
Wow.
donation, yeah, the average donation is around $35. So it's really just about mobilizing. So if you've got $35 you can donate on Trans Day Visibility. Join us in the live stream that will be hosted. The best viewing will be on YouTube, the Mercury Stardust YouTube channel, but then you'll
Mhm.
also be able to catch us on Instagram Live and TikTok.
Yeah.
So any of those platforms would work.
Yeah.
And yeah, so if you've got $35 or less
Yeah.
or more and you want to make a donation, that'd be amazing. If you can't, the best ways to get involved would be to share it,
Yeah.
whether that's just texting it to your friends, sharing it on your own story, the platform you like to use. If you're part of a Discord, let people know in your Discord channel that it's going on.
Mhm.
Because really just getting the word out there and getting a lot of viewership is where we can collect those type of numbers. So, sharing, commenting, liking, all of those things, it does actually matter. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
For
so
sure.
any of those things would be the best way to really get involved for a big celebration. Trans Day visibility is a big deal, and I think that, it's something that cannot be taken from us because we have created it,
Yeah.
and we will continue to elevate our community on that day.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is such a huge event. In the past, I've seen it happen and it's just garnered like such an incredible following. It's very easy to find if you're on any of our social media. There's going to be lots of publishing of this. And yeah, well, this will also be like, well, while you're watching or reading the text that goes along with this, we'll leave all of the information. So if people want to be able to go and find it, or if you're watching or reading this after it's already happened, I'm sure there'll be places as well where you can donate after the fact. Um, yeah, but really, any way that people want to get involved is incredible. Like you said, it doesn't take much to be a part of this,
Mhm.
even if it's like sharing the work and following the people that are doing this. It really means a lot, I'm
It
sure.
all counts. Yes,
It really
100%.
does. It really does.
Yes.
And it obviously adds up.
Yes.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you guys wanted to say before I let you go?
I just want to take a second and say thank you for,
Oh,
all the work that you do and your
oh,
team. And, I know y'all work hard over there. So I appreciate it. We
thank
can't do the stuff that we do without you making the products or,
you.
being willing to support our shenanigans. So
I mean,
I
ditto. It's been
appreciate
such
it.
a great relationship from the beginning. I think we have a
And
very, very aligned
I know it's
vision.
been a long time, but like the program really started out of you helping us out of a really bad spot. Um, I
Right?
don't know if you, I don't know if you ever got the full story.
I don't know if I did.
We had partnered with an organization who had set up a Kickstarter to create some gaffs, and the
Okay.
donated gaffs were going to come to us, and then they ghosted us. They ghosted their buyers. They ghosted
Um,
everybody. One of our board members even got taken advantage on it. Um,
I
and
did
then
not know that.
we were left with a couple of hundred people sitting on our waiting list with no garments because they were supposed to come out of this Kickstarter.
Oh my
Yep.
And
God. The
Aiden was
tea
like,
finally comes
right.
out.
Aiden, I think, found you guys and was like, I'm gonna pester these people. They
Yeah.
seem cool.
You're like, hi. And
Hi,
that
And
was
we have
and
a
amazing for
problem.
us too. It jump started, us into being able to produce bulk and, we were going through a hard time. It was like, yeah, we were just kind
well,
of like a few employees at that point and trying to like standardize everything. And yeah, it
all
really like
because of a dodgy
catapulted us
Kickstarter.
Yeah.
because of
Yeah.
a Kickstarter that fell through. I mean, you
Yeah.
never know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That's good to know.
So yeah. Like I
Oh,
said, the whole program started out of you bailing us out of a bad spot too. So
I'm so glad that we can help you. I was like, oh, this is amazing for us. You're like giving us this huge jump start as like a small business. We're much smaller than most of the other gender affirming companies out there. We're a team of 9.
yeah.
Most are like much bigger than us. So it
Mhm.
really is amazing to be able to work with you guys on such a scale. It's helped us so much. And it allows for us to also like pay the people who are manufacturing the garments not only just a living wage, but all of the profits of this program go back into the gender affirmation healthcare of each person who's making the garments. So
Amazing.
yeah,
I love
we've never profited off of this program. We put it all back into being able to make sure that they can access above and beyond what Canada also like offers for free. They get like full spectrum gender care out of this. So
excellent.
I
like
love
we
that.
said, it's like keeping it in the family.
Yep. I love that. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, just echoing Tyler. Thanks so much, Ray. Thanks to everyone on the team. We love your
Yeah.
work. It's been incredible for us. We can't wait to continue another,
Yeah.
round of 6, 7, 12 years.
Yeah, me too.
Just keep building this not just professional relationship, but just personal relationship too.
Yeah. Yeah,
Everyone
it's
that
been
we've
so great
worked
to
with,
work with you guys.
yeah, has been really great, and we really appreciate you.
Yeah, ditto. Great. Well, thanks so much, everyone who's watching this and reading it somewhere out there in the world. I'm glad that we reached you, and we'll leave all the links to the things we talked about today. Thanks so much for joining us, and hope to see you all at the fundraiser on the 31st for Trans Day of Visibility with Mercury Stardust.
Love it.
All
Hey.
right. Take care, guys.